And, I hate to lose a game, especially a bowl game against a Big Ten team. But, I've moved on from that.
Well, the thing about the Nebraska game as well, it was the second consecutive year we played them in a bowl. And like you said, the injury factor, the way we lost to Auburn, and then you're playing Nebraska for the second year in a row. People don't think about these things. I mean, yeah, it's hard for the fans to get up for. I mean, I know the players, I'm not going to say all of them, but I'm pretty sure some of the players feel that exact same way. And they're like, man, we got to play these guys again. I mean, people don't take into account the mental aspect of football. A lot of the football, it's mental. I mean, if you go into a game not into it, you're going to lose. It don't matter how strong you are or how fast you are. If you're mentally not in the game, you're going to get beat.
Yeah, and you got to remember, as rough as Georgia had it last year, when we kicked off against Auburn, we still had a chance to win the East. I mean, some crazy things would have had to happen. Missouri would have had to lose their last 2 games, and we would have had to beat Auburn and things like this. But, up until we kicked off against Auburn, we had a chance to win the East. And, that was in November. And to make it that far into the season and still have your goals, in front of you there, and to have them ripped away like they did with that, miracle touchdown pass that Auburn had at the end. And these are 19, 20-year-old kids. I mean, it's going to take a toll on you. And I think we saw the effects of that in the Nebraska game.
Well, I mean, you just kind of said it. I mean, we're in November, and we've had all these injuries, and mathematically we were still in it. And that goes back to what we were talking about last week, is our depth. To have a lot of second and third stringers play several weeks in a row and still keep you, in contention to win your division, that says a lot. I can't stress enough, man. You've got second and third stringers that are playing against starters week in and week out. I mean, yeah, you're going to lose some games, but they kept it. They kept us in the hunt, man. I mean, you really couldn't ask for anything more from the way our backup played. I mean, of course, there's going to be an obvious drop-off when you got that many backups in there, but I was pleased, honestly, with the way, we really didn't get blown out. I mean, Auburn went to the national title game, and if that pass, wasn't, given to them by the hand of God, they don't make the national title game.
2 years in a row, we went nose to nose with a team that eventually went to the national title game and gave them everything they could handle. And, Auburn last year, Alabama the year before, nose to nose with 2 of the best teams in the country. So, did we win? No. Did we make the title game? No. But, you can hold your head up high and, we went 12 rounds with those guys, and I guarantee you either Auburn or Alabama didn't want to go another round.
Yeah, I mean, the way we played against Alabama and Auburn, that just goes to show you that, there again, you can have a good team and not win a national title. We can compete with anybody in the country. We may lose, we may win, but at the end of the day, we're not just going to walk out on the field and get blown off the field. We're gonna give you everything we got, and it's gonna be a good game. That's all there is to it. You cannot any fan base that thinks when they play the University of Georgia, if they think that they're just going to come in and blow us off the field, they're retarded. That's just stupid. Georgia is a team that will compete with the best of the best week in and week out.
Yeah, and not there's only a handful of teams that you can say that about over the last 10 or 12 years, and Georgia's right up there with them, without a doubt. So, but enough about the last couple of years. Season's coming up here, and I know we got to end the show here pretty soon, but rather than dwelling on a couple of losses we had in the last couple of years, I want to wrap the show up on my end here with a message to Alabama fans. Now, here I go. So, Alabama fans, if you're listening, and I'm pretty sure that you are, go ahead and sit down. Put your natural light down and pay attention to Uncle Lou while I explain something to you people. Nick Saban is a hell of a coach. He's not God, Jesus, or the Holy Spirit. Nothing lasts forever, people. Now, some of you knucklehead Alabama fans were calling for him to be fired after they lost to Auburn last year. Now, y'all have had a good run, 5, 6, 7 years, but nothing lasts forever. And, you can't fool Uncle Lou. I know what you're doing with this Lane Kiffin hire here. Now, all Nick Saban is trying to do, Nick Saban sees the writing on the wall. This is Uncle Lou's opinion. Alabama's run of dominance may be coming to an end here. And what Saban is doing is he is bringing in a lightning rod. And what does a lightning rod do? It attracts the criticism. Nick Saban knows that when he trots his football team over to the Plain, or when Auburn comes to Tuscaloosa this year and beats Alabama, that people are going to be calling for his head again, and Nick Saban's no good because he lost to Auburn 2 years in a row, and blah, blah, blah. And you know what Nick Saban's going to do? That post-game press conference, he's going to push Lane Kiffin out in front of those microphones. And he's going to throw So, Lane, and yes, you are the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man. I know what's going on over there in Tuscaloosa. Uncle Lou, smarter than the average bear, and that's what's happening. So, all you Bammers, when y'all lose to Auburn this year, Uncle Lou told you so. And when Lane Kiffin is the scapegoat, Uncle Lou told you that too. So just keep that in mind. Thank you. Good morning.
Well, here's here's something else too. And when that run finally comes to an end, the argument we're going to hear from Alabama fans. You already know it's coming. Well, when's the last time y'all won a national title? They always got to do that. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, what do you winning a national title? Okay, you won a national title. Let's say 2-3 years ago. What does that have to do with this year? It just never ceases to amaze me. It's like they can suck like they did for almost 10 years, and it was hard to find an Alabama shirt or hat or whatever. Yeah. I lived in Alabama during those times. I know what was up, and all of a sudden they get good again, and I'm wondering how many cobwebs they had to dust off of their Alabama flag to get it looking new again. But They act like they're losing seasons, or I can't say losing seasons, but they're bad seasons. They act like it never happened, and it's going to get back to that. There's no getting around it. No team is going to sit there and constantly win 10, 11 games every year. There's going to come a time where you're going to have a year or two where you win 7, maybe 8 games. It happens. But Alabama, their fan base is one of the ones that they have selective memory. Let's put it like that.
They'll turn on Nick Saban in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, and all it takes is it's going to take a couple losses to Auburn, and then the Alabama fans are going to start, raising hell and be like, "Fire Nick Saban! Fire Nick Saban!" It's like they have unreal. What do they expect? They expect Nick Saban to win a national title every freaking year? No, it's impossible. You're going to have times where you're just going to have down years, and I guess the University of Alabama just does not expect down years.
That's the only explanation I can think of for bringing in the Muffin Man, is so Nick Saban can buy himself an off year or two, and just blame it on Lane Muffin.
Well, I'm actually shocked that Nick Saban didn't bring in Monty Kiffin as well. It's like, if you're going to bring in one scapegoat, why not have two?
Well, he's not going to bring in any big name. If you look at his defensive coordinators since he's been in Alabama, it's all been unknown people, because Saban's really the one running wants to be the one running the defense there. Even Jeremy Pruitt wasn't even a defensive coordinator there. He was just a defensive coach. Jeremy Pruitt's only been a defensive coordinator for 1 year, and that was at Florida State. They had Kirby Smarts over there at Alabama, and he's not going anywhere because Georgia tried to get him. And if Georgia can't get him, with him being from Georgia, then nobody's going to get him. So he's there for the duration. But he would never bring in Amani Kiffin or one of these huge name defensive coordinators, because he's the one running the show on defense. But he can bring in an offensive guy, like a supposedly offensive guy, with Lane Kiffin, which is nothing more than a professional scam artist, and he knows that if anything goes wrong, well, he has his scapegoat, and he can continue to collect his $6, $7, $8 million a year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that we all hate Lane Kiffin. I know we're talking trash about it, but I mean, I really don't think Saban's doing that. But at the same time, I mean, you got to ask yourself, why would he bring in Lane Kiffin? I mean, he's been successful without him. You know, they've won 3 out of the last 5 national titles.
You say you don't think he would do that. Well, let me just ask you, hypothetically, if Alabama is 11-0 this year when they play Auburn, and Auburn beats them, what do you think is going to happen in Alabama?
Well, I know for a fact
they're going to fire Lane Kiffin. That's going to be the first thing they do. They're going to fire. That's going to be the first thing they do, whether they're 11-1 or 8-4. If any of those losses, they can be 8-4 or they can be 11-1. But if that one loss is to Auburn, Kiffin's out the door. Period. And I can't think of any other reason they brought him in.
Well, I mean, I don't see them. I don't see them firing Kiffin after 1 year, but I mean, if that happens several years in a row, I can see it. But when you bring in somebody, you know, that first year, to have ungodly expectations. I mean, I don't care what team it is. To have those ungodly expectations for first-year coordinator, I think it's a little unrealistic. You know.
Well, yeah, but it's not like Alabama was 8-4 or 7-5 last year and brought in a new coordinator who needs a couple of years to turn things around. I mean, Alabama's been winning 11 games a year without Lane Kiffin. They bring Lane Kiffin in. I mean, I'm assuming they're bringing him in for some sort of improvement. If there's no improvement, I'm telling you, these people, you live there, you know, these people are out of their mind about Alabama and Auburn. I mean, you think Georgia and Georgia Tech is bad, you know, the rivalry, the hatred, that kind of thing. It doesn't compare. I mean, there are families in Alabama that haven't spoken to each other in 40 and 50 years because one of them bought an Auburn hat one time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I live there, and
you lose to Auburn.
They're on a whole other level down there. I mean, you got Alabama fans that like to go poison trees. I mean, you got Alabama fans that like to teabag people. I mean, they're they're on a whole other level. I mean, Auburn fans are just as bad as Alabama fans.
I mean, you know, they put that Cam Newton jersey on the Bear Bryant statue. Now, can you imagine if somebody put a Georgia Tech jersey on the Vince Dooley statue?
Oh yeah, somebody's life is going to get taken. I mean, you got fans that are that fanatic. I mean, trust me, I'm diehard Georgia all the way, but at the same time, if we lose to somebody, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and go start bombing cars. That's not me. But you got those fans out there that, and yeah, a good example, Alabama and Auburn. I mean, when I was working down there in Auburn, man, I cannot tell you how many fights I witnessed when Alabama would come to Auburn. Like afterwards, they all start leaving the stadium. The other team, let's say the team that won, started talking trash to the team that lost. That's a bad idea because you've got like a crowd of Alabama fans, a crowd of Auburn fans. Okay, well, you just started one huge riot in the street. Okay, I mean, those guys are bad. I mean, just stay away from the streets whenever they're in town. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and you know, we're giving Lane Kiffin a lot of hell, but I really think it's going to be interesting to watch this season. The media coverage, you know, ESPN and some of these other places. I really have a feeling are going to be dissecting every single Alabama offensive play, and you know they're going to be looking for, okay, what have they done this year they didn't do last year? You know, what is Lane Kiffin, you know, doing here? And if Alabama has a couple of weeks in a row where they struggle offensively, now, yeah, they have a new quarterback, but this new quarterback's supposed to be, you know, already ready for the NFL from what if you look to, to hear it from an Alabama fan, he could play in the NFL already. So he ought to be ready to go.